Hi guys, and welcome to All About the Philippines. Now today we're going to talk about how you can get into serious trouble in the Philippines. So every year many tourists are going to the Philippines for a vacation. They're going there for a bit of fun and to enjoy the country. And the fact is, some of these tourists, they will get themselves into trouble quite regularly in the Philippines. Now there's many ways they can do this. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the ways they might find themselves in quite serious trouble in the Philippines, so stay tuned. The Philippines can get a bit of a bad rap from time to time by saying it's not safe to go to the Philippines or whatever, and this is usually from people who really have never probably even been there or are very ignorant when they go there and what they do that gets themselves into trouble. So generally speaking, when you go to the Philippines, you've got to take responsibility for yourself. So you're responsible for your own behaviour and for your own welfare, so where you go in the Philippines. So you need to do your research prior to going to make sure you're going into areas that are reasonably safe, and then you need to take precautions around safety as you would in any country that you travel to. Now there are some tourists who go to the Philippines who what I would call are a higher risk category of tourists. Now these categories that I'm about to mention can get themselves into quite a lot of trouble, and in some cases even going to jail. So we'll start off talking about the sexpats. Now the sexpats who go to the Philippines are generally there for one thing, and that is they're having a vacation, but they're looking to find as many girls as they can in that time, and they're there to have a good time with those girls. So the problem with that is, of course, apart from lying to the girls probably about what they're there for, making them think that they're there for a relationship or whatever, because they might do that. They might actually be talking to these girls for some time on the computer, maybe a few months lining up their trip, and they might have 4 or 5 girls who they're going to meet when they're in the Philippines. But that's the least of their troubles. They run the risk, of course, of getting STDs, so sexually transmitted diseases, while they're in the Philippines playing around with several different girls. And they run the risk of taking that back home to maybe their partner at home, their wife, their girlfriend, whoever, or anyone they have sexual relationships after that point. And the other thing in the Philippines that some people aren't aware of is that adultery is illegal in the Philippines. Now, we all know in the Philippines that there is no divorce in the Philippines. There's only annulment. But generally speaking, for a lot of people, the annulment process takes a long time, and it's quite costly for a lot of the local people. So when they break up in their marriage, they might just separate and stay separated and not actually be annulled. So because adultery is illegal in the Philippines, there comes the problem that if you're then sleeping with a Filipina who has been married before and is not had an annulment, then there is a risk that you're going to end up in jail. Now, does it happen a lot? No, it doesn't, but it is a possibility. So the scenarios are things like the ex-husband, for example, might find out that you've been sleeping with his wife, and he might then think opportunity to get some money here, so he might threaten you with filing a case against you unless you pay him money. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that he might just get so angry by that and be angered by that, he might file a case and you could end up in jail. Now the problem is, if you've been charged in the Philippines and you get put into the jails, it can take several years before it even comes up to court. So you could be sitting there for several years waiting for that to happen. Now, that does happen on occasions. Again, it's not often, but it does happen, and it is a possibility under the Philippines laws. So these guys going to the Philippines as sexpats really run the risk of something that could happen. As I say, is it likely to happen? Maybe not, but it could happen. So you'd really want to think twice before running that risk in the Philippines, because those jails are not very nice, that's for sure. Now, the second type of category that can get into serious trouble in the Philippines is those going there simply to find a woman. So you may have met a woman online, as many of us have done, and you may go to the Philippines to try and start a relationship with that woman. Now again, you want to be careful about the adultery laws beforehand. So you can always do what they call a cinema online search, which will tell you if she's been married in that country. So that's for peace of mind. Now, of course, she will have to give you her full details, her full name, address, all that sort of thing, so you can actually do the search. But if she's legitimate, she shouldn't have a problem with that if it's going to give you peace of mind. So I've done a video which you can check out here on Cinema Online, which will go into a little bit more. It's only a $20 or $30 cost, and it's quite easy to do. And if you're really wanting to be careful, and you should be careful, because as we say, adultery is illegal in the Philippines, and we don't want you to getting in trouble by going over there thinking she's single when maybe she's actually not single. Have you actually asked that question of her? If you haven't asked that question, then it's probably a very good question to ask. And the other side of that, when you go for a relationship, as I say, you might have been talking to that woman for some months, thinking that it's all legitimate, and good, getting to know her. But what she might actually be still trying to scam you. For all you know, she could be a married woman with a family, and her husband is saying to her, meet a foreign man and get some money out of him. So that's a scam that does go on in the Philippines, and one that you need to be very, very careful about. Because wherever people are generally more poor or not as well off, they're going to be looking for ways to make money. There's no social security or government payouts to people in the Philippines. So when they've got no job, they've got to find ways to make money. Otherwise, they just might starve. So they're finding ways to make money, and this is a way they do it. They'll meet unsuspecting people online, pretend to be wanting to have a relationship with them, and then when you get there, you won't know any different, but they're getting the money out of you. And the other thing is, you could get there and you could meet her and everything could seem fine, but she could lure you away from populated areas, and she could say, let's go to my place and I'll show you around, and you could go there and there could be a few big blokes waiting to bash you and rob you to get what you've got. That's another thing that can happen. Again, is it a thing that is likely to happen? Probably not, especially if you're careful, but these things can happen, and these things you need to be aware of. So if you're in a situation where she's saying, okay, let's go and I'll take you out to, a couple of hours drive from here where I live, you're getting a bad feeling about that, then you listen to that gut feeling. It's probably telling you something that's not right. So always listen to that gut feeling, and if you're aware of these different scams that do go on, you're likely to avoid them and not become a victim yourself and end up in a lot of trouble in the Philippines. The next one is going to these KTV bars or the girly bars where you would have all the dancers, or they have the girls there where you just buy them drinks, that sort of thing. The problem there is there's a lot of hidden fees, or there can be a lot of hidden fees. And you think that, okay, they've told you that each drink is worth 250 pesos and the girl's drink might be worth 300 pesos or whatever the case may be. And you think, okay, you have a manager, I can have 4 or 5 drinks and buy her 4 or 5 drinks, no problem. But then some places have these little hidden fees they put in there. So even when you think the nuts are free or the chips are free and you're eating them, they might charge you 500 pesos just for those. So the bill can actually add up quite quickly, especially when you're getting a little bit drunk. Let's say you're drinking quite a bit and you're not really keeping track on how much you're drinking. And look, and let's face it, they could add more drinks than they actually had too. Who would know? If you're getting a bit wasted, you're not going to know. Then all of a sudden the end of the night comes and you've got to pay that bill, and you get some sort of shock that's it's far more than you expected, and you're arguing that bill with them. And of course, when you're drunk, you tend to argue a little bit more loudly, and it can come across quite threatening. So of course, then what happens is they believe that you're trying to avoid your bill, you're causing a problem, in come the bouncers. So then the bouncers are going to take you, and if you're not going to give them the money very quickly and you keep on arguing with them, they're going to take you out the back and give you a good hiding, a really good hiding. So that's another way you can get yourself into serious trouble in the Philippines, by going to these girly bars. You think you're just having a good time, but the situation can change very, very quickly once you get that bill. So another way you can get in trouble in the Philippines is you can be pickpocketed. Now, on the surface, pickpocketing, you must say, oh, well, that's not a real issue, but it can be a real issue if you've got all your credit cards in there, you've got a lot of your money in there, you've got important cards in there that have to be replaced or might be difficult to be replaced when you're in the Philippines. Now, I know for a fact I had a wallet stolen out of my motel room when I was in the Philippines, and getting onto the bank here in Australia was very difficult to get that organised. What would have been easy in my country, in Australia, to do, taking me 5 minutes, took me a couple of hours to get organised in the Philippines. I'm ringing numbers, I'm getting disconnected, they're trying to put me through to other places, I'm getting disconnected. It's just taking, the process was just so slow just to get that done in the Philippines. So my advice around that, guys, is never keep a wallet in your back pocket in the Philippines. You know, it might be safe to do that in your country, but when you're in the Philippines, you need to keep all your valuables and your money all well hidden and secured. Now, instead of a wallet when you're in the Philippines, use a money belt which can go underneath your clothes. It wraps around your body, ties up, and you can put all your money and even passport or documents in that. It's under your clothes and nobody really knows it's there, unless you're going to open it up in the middle of a whole heap of people where they can all see you, and then of course they're going to know. But it still becomes harder to get that off your body without them physically assaulting you to get it, rather than a wallet in the back pocket. Is quite easy for experienced pickpocketers in the Philippines. On that also, don't be wearing expensive jewelry in the Philippines, or really any jewelry. Try and keep what you wear as far as jewelry, watches and necklaces and bracelets or whatever the case may be, rings. Try and keep them as low key as possible, and probably leave them at home. Don't even take them with you, because if you've got all that bling on, let's say, you're going to become the target for those people who are looking to get some cash from you, you know, by robbing you. So my advice is really don't take any of that stuff with you, just leave it at home. Only take what you're really going to need, but limit wearing it in public as much as possible. You draw enough attention to yourself just by being a foreigner in the Philippines, let alone being a foreigner in the Philippines wearing all this expensive jewelry. So yeah, leave it at home and stay low key. So remember, all these things we've spoken about, they're all going to draw attention to you as a foreigner, and that's one thing you want to avoid. So your responsibility for your own behaviour when you're in the Philippines. So if you're going to go doing the things we spoke about, then you're going to become a target when you're in the Philippines for these people that are looking to make quick money from you. So if you respect the people, the culture and the country while you're in the Philippines, then they will respect you as well. And the chances of you getting into any serious trouble in the Philippines is going to be remote. But if you're going to go in there, you know, be an obnoxious sexpat, throwing your money around, you know, when you're drunk and all this sort of stuff, then expect to get into some serious trouble when you're there. That's my best advice anyway, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share the video with all your networks and turn on the notification bell to get more videos. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Appreciate your support. Take care and bye for now.